everybody, this is Stephanie with Beach Potato Embroidery. This is a part 2 video of our Christmas zipper stocking that is from our Zip Zip Hooray kit. And so right now we're almost done with the stocking. We've done all of our decorative stitches on the front. The stocking has been quilted. We got our faux leather on, we got our glitter on, we got the quilting done. On the back side, we pulled down the lining, but nothing else has really been added yet. So we are ready to start assembling it all in the hoop. So if we flip this back over, we have our placement lines here of where to move our zipper pull before we add our next piece of fabric to do the next step. So I'm going to move our zipper pull to the very first of the placement stitches there. And this is going to tell us where to leave the zipper pull at, because the machine is going to be stitching from here on this side all the way to this side here, and it won't get this in the way. So we're going to tape this in place, and we're going to kind of secure it to where it's not going to be a problem right now. And we're going to lay our next piece of fabric per our instructions, and we're going to put it on top of the design here. So we are on step 16, and our zipper pull is moved to the very first of the placement stitches. The snowflake fabric is the second piece that we cut out. It covers the entire stocking, and it is pretty side down. And so we're gonna now tape this in place and bring it back to the machine. This is what our hoop looks like, and we're gonna stitch out step 16. I do recommend slowing your machine down to that slower speed, just so that way you have a better reaction time in case anything moves on you. So we just finished step 16, and we're going to move to step 17, which is now going to be moving to the back side of the hoop. We're not moving the zipper pull, we're not changing anything right now, we're just flipping the hoop over to the back, and we're going to take a look at the back side. So everything's stitched out really well on that last step. The lining is tacked down now, and we're ready to add our second piece of lining to the back side of the hoop. So I have our second piece of lining, and I'm just going to lay this on top. It's going to cover the zipper, it's going to cover the whole entire stocking, and we're just going to tape it in place here and here. So now that that's taped in place, we're going to flip the hoop over to the other side, and according to our instructions, we're going to have a piece of batting now that's going to cover the top of this as well. So if you did Annie Soft and Stable or Bosal, you cannot use that twice. Otherwise, your turning is going to be very difficult. So you can use 2 pieces of polyester batting, 2 pieces of cotton batting. That's completely fine. If you did Annie's or Bosal in the first place, I would use a thinner batting to be able to combat that thickness that you would have in the stocking. I happen to use polyester batting for the first part, and I'm going to use polyester batting again. And we're just going to lay that on top, and we're going to bring this back to the machine, and we're going to have this next layer go through. And again, this is step 17 on your instructions of the stocking. Again, keeping with the slow speed since we are going through a lot of different layers. We're on step 17 of 19, and we're only stitching a small portion of the stocking right there. It shows us what we're stitching. We'll be stitching the rest of the stocking in the next step, but we'll need to move that zipper pull again. So step 18 is what we're on now. We just finished step 17, and what we need to do is we need to move this zipper pull. We can't really see the zipper pull, it's kind of hidden, so I'm going to turn this hoop here, and we're going to try to find our little zipper pull that we kind of taped down in that previous step. So let's see if I can zoom in the camera here. So the little zipper pull is right here. It's hidden there. We're going to move that back to this placement step. So we had it moved to here, and so we just need to move it down here. So take this little piece of tape off, and then we're going to push this to this part here. And I'm going to try to get this angled to where it's really out of that stitch field. I put the pull closer towards this side so it's not stitching over here right now. And we're going to have this available to be stitched on. So that pull doesn't, we don't want it pointing towards the top of the hoop, just kind of push it over here to the left side. My hoop is upside down, so if you turned it, it would be the right side. But we're just moving it to this part away from where it was. It was here, we're moving it to the other side, the opposite side. So now I'm going to turn my hoop around and take a look, and we're going to feel that the pull is right in here on the right side. After all this is done, we're kind of done stitching there. And now your machine is going to just kind of stitch along here, and then it'll stitch around the other side of the design. So let's go ahead and stitch step 18. Step 18 finished, and so now we're going to stitch step 19. We don't need to make any adjustments. We're just going to let this finish off the stocking before we remove it from the hoop, and then we get the turning part. All right, so we have our stocking. It was completely done in the hoop, and now we just need to take it out. I always like to check the back first, make sure everything looks good and nothing got like flipped over or adjusted or moved on us by accident. So we're going to take this out of the hoop and trim about 1/2 inch to 1/4 inch around the edges there. Do make sure to leave a little bit of an opening here for a seam allowance, so that way you can sew your lining bit closed. And this is what we'll be working on. So we're going to do some trimming, and this is the little snips that we'll be making. And so let's get that started. All right, now that our little stocking is trimmed, we just need to go around and kind of snip close to the edges where it's got a curve. And so we're going to be snipping and cutting right in here, but not to the stitch, just to the stitch line. So we want to cut the stitches. This should just help it curve a little bit better for us and lay a little nicer. Now comes the hard part. I like to take my seam ripper and just kind of pull this open a little bit more and give me a little bit more wider of an opening here. I could always sew it back down after the fact, but I'm only doing it on the lining. And so now I'm going to be able to turn this boot a little bit more. Don't worry if any of the stitches rip. Again, it's easy to sew that part closed after the fact, but now we're going to berth it through the hole here. Just keep pushing it through and working it nice and slow. And so now we kind of got almost our shape out. We just got to push out these corners. So now that we got it pushed out, I'm pulling my tearaway off. If you have cutaway, you'll be using scissors to cut this part off. That stitch that we stitched in the middle, it does just rip right out. You don't have to really do anything to it. I just pull away from the edges and pull that stitch out of the tearaway until we can reveal our zipper. And then from there, you can slide your zipper down, and now you can berth it through the zipper. But before you berth it through the zipper, you would want to sew this part closed, and you can fix your little part where you seam ripped it, and this gets all turned in. So now this can be sewn on the sewing machine, and then you can turn it back out. So this part doesn't have to be pretty, you just have to sew it closed. I trimmed off the excess, and now I'm going to turn it through the rest of the zipper. After you're satisfied of putting your arm through the stocking and pushing all the corners out, you are all set. You only had to sew the small part of the lining down here closed. And this is available at beachpotatoembroidery.com. It's one of 3 bags, and this makes a great gift. You can fill it with candy, gift cards, and it's all done in the hoop pretty quickly.